I agree. This is a Christian film.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt.
I'm David.
And we have a guest star today, Zach.
Not too happy to be here.
Yeah. We got Sunday School Musical for you.
Dang. They put the hip in worship.
I'm not going to be part of this.
Don't act above it. You watched the film,
dude. Alright, the funny thing is, okay, David walked out like 53 seconds into the movie. I think that was a record.
Yeah, no. I was tempted to on the last one.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's true. This is not as bad. Not nearly as bad as the Sandy Hook Lingerie Party Massacre.
Nor as unfortunately named.
No, it's not. Sunday School Musical. The best thing I can say about this plot, now we'll obviously get into the actual thing, but the plot itself is really a hybrid of two movies. Sunday School Musical is a hybrid of High School Musical and You Got Served.
You got saved.
It should be called that. You got saved. Oh my fucking god.
Alright.
Oh, alright. Plot. Let's go through plot first.
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Does anyone remember names? I think the guy's name was Chris.
Okay.
Chris?
I know the girl's name is Savannah.
Black Kid. Our main
Black
character.
Kid.
I'm sorry. Mulatto. Being this is, Alright. Mulatto is part of a supposedly inner-city school choir.
Even though...
Inner city church.
Yeah, but...
And he is having... They are in a competition, but his mother has lost her job at the hospital, and therefore he has to move. And as a result, he is now in a predominantly white school with a predominantly white church.
Who can't...
Now,
will
he join the white choir? This is plot conflict number 1 of like 50, so try and keep
No. We actually wrote down all the conflicts. How many conflicts are in this movie?
Hold on.
Like, every single time. Now, there isn't a solitary main conflict. There's not a solitary singular plot to this movie.
10.
A good screenplay usually will consist it could possibly pull off 10 if you had enough screen time to do it, but a good screenplay usually has about 3 main conflicts or so that kind of worked into each other and they all match. This is just a fucking mess.
The most I've ever seen is L.A. Confidential, and I believe that's 6, and that's a masterpiece, and even then that was confusing at points.
Yes.
So, and this isn't confusing so much as one thing after the other suddenly ending.
Oh, it's also
never resolved.
It's split by padding.
It just ends.
It's just split by padding. It fades out, goes to a scene that's completely unnecessary, and then fades to another conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the conflicts are completely manufactured. They're not at all set up to actually be realistic at all. They just happen for that scene, and then they never really happen again.
Dad, you shrunk my favorite sweater. I'm sorry, honey. This didn't happen when Mom was alive.
That's actual dialogue.
That is the actual dialogue.
That's right.
I mean, to tell you the truth, me and Zach, I don't know if you had, Dale, but me and Zach had known about this movie a few years ago. And we heard about this movie.
I saw it at Blockbuster.
Exactly, we saw it exactly at Blockbuster.
At the height of the High School Musical craze.
Yeah.
Ripping off a trend for Jesus.
Now, at first, I actually thought it was by Asylum. From the Asylum filmmaking. It's released by this thing called literally just Faith Films. But this is the interesting bit. And we found this out. The first assistant director on this movie is the guy who directed 2012 Ice Age.
No. He was the second unit director.
He was the second.
He did a lot of Asylum work.
He's done a lot of Asylum work. And actually, one of the actors in here, I think was she the girl who played Savannah?
No, the other one.
It was... Fuck her.
The black one. The black one. There's the white one, and there's the black one.
Her name is Andrea.
Andrea. Her name's Andrea, and she actually is in a handful of Asylum productions after this. So, I seriously think that part of me believes that this movie was a bit of a joke. Or at least I wish that was that true, because this movie is every cliche that could be shoved handedly into this movie is done so. It's absolutely mind-boggling.
So, let's just see if we can't piece this a little bit. So let's go with, I don't know, overall writing.
This is someone who basically might just now get what subtext means.
I mean, we've sort of gone over the basic sin of the lack of narrative, but subtext is something I'd like to bring up. That wonderful bit of dialogue that you brought up earlier about of the sweater acting as a way for her to vent her anger over her dead mother, which is just dropped, by the way.
It's only in a couple scenes.
It's laughably amateurish. It's like someone who'd taken the class that day and said, "Wow, you can do this," and didn't watch any examples of where it's done well, and then just put it in there. I mean, there has to be a viable connection. It has to be subtle.
The answer for everything, though, the answer for everything in this movie is y'all need Jesus.
No. In song.
In song, exactly. Yes. Oh, and that's one thing about the musical numbers. One, you can obviously tell that none of the cast on screen are the people who are actually giving these singing voices. Now, unlike some people, like in the Disney movies, there's a couple people who make their living imitating actors' voices while singing. It happened, I can never remember the actor's name, but he did it for Jeremy Irons in The Lion King. He also did it and Anastasia for Christopher Lloyd and whatnot. So they can mimic their voice. The main character...
You can put his name down here in post.
So, I don't even want to bother with it. It's not even worth my attention. It's not even worth trying to edit this shit. But the main character, his singing voice is so not like his speaking voice. And not only that, every solitary scene in this movie is horribly dubbed. The dubbing in this movie is so laughably bad. It's really bad.
Not just when they're singing either.
No, it's all the time.
When they're talking.
All the time. Actually, once in a while, you'll actually hear on-location sound be used instead of dubbing, and it's so obvious because the room tone suddenly shifts.
Oh my, that's 101.
Oh, it's really bad. It's really, really bad.
We should know we've been through 101.
I absolutely adored that part when the opponent choir...
Oh yeah, that's a last conflict that's just thrown in the last 10 minutes.
When they came in, you thought there's a bunch of choirs here, there are a bunch of people, this is a competition, ergo, they should make some sort of noise. No, they were silent, deadly, marched through those halls with efficiency.
Oh yeah, the funny thing is like, oh god, they're the choir that's won the last 3 years, and they're not afraid to tell us. Every single solitary member of that choir was black.
I know.
This whole thing was about inner city, outer city.
And no, this is the funny thing is, alright, there are two choirs in the very beginning. One is kind of multiracial and has a bunch of different people involved. The other one is straight white. And they have no musical ability whatsoever. It kind of reminds me of just, white people can't play athletics, or play basketball or something like that. And they hire on a black guy to teach them how to do it.
Well, one was the gay one. The implied homosexual was the Judeo-Arabic persuasion, I think.
Yeah.
Let's just say...
Subtlety!
That was implied, okay?
Yeah.
There are gay undertones.
Oh, yeah.
There are gay overtones. And then there's this gap.
I don't even want to know what they would have done if they wanted to try to portray someone who they actually wanted to be gay in this movie. Because I figure that probably somebody would have found that incredibly offensive.
Mm-hmm. Someone's going to find this film offensive. These three guys. Anyway.
I'm not necessarily finding it offensive. I just find it offensive it's an assault on the eyes and ears, really.
I'm not a huge fan of musicals in general. I'll freely admit that as a bias on my part, but I've seen some great musicals, and this doesn't qualify as a decent musical. I mean, there was, for example...
It's not even a high school musicals level. I think those movies are absolute shit.
The songs were dreadful. They were
You couldn't understand what they were saying half the time, too.
And it had no memorable choreography whatsoever. It's just, it wasn't even like MTV. If you can't even pull off MTV style editing, if you can't even pull that off.
They kept reusing shots, too.
God
they kept
knows.
reusing shots of like crowds and shit like that. It's so bad.
I mean, I saw Mac and Devin go to high school recently.
Oh,
right?
God, yes,
and
we
Mac
did.
and Devin go to high school, at least had a plausible music video number at the end to where the hell that song
Oh, it was in the middle, too.
So What We Get Drunk.
Yeah, it was in the middle.
Yeah, and it was in the middle. They could pull, at the very least, you could pull that off. But no, they didn't manage to pull that off. Mac and Devin was a dreadful movie, by the way. Don't watch it. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say on that.
Of course, Barnhart likes it.
Seriously, man, we need to get that dude some help.
Yeah, I know.
So then from there,
Okay.
we
need to do Mac and Devin go to high school, actually.
Oh,
we should do that.
Yeah,
I'm
if we get enough
serious.
people asking for it.
I'm serious.
Hold on. We're running out
You're
of time.
way
away! We're even coming years
we
out
get
of
away
there.
from this movie.
So guys,
the
let's go
better.
get some burgers.
Burgers.
We're going to go ahead and
Alright.
we'll just keep it going.
We can cut this out.
Let's see here. From there, it goes to, I guess, the best place to talk. I mean, I technically listed writing as the last one, but
The
God knows we just went over the acting. There you
The
go.
acting.
I want to talk about
Or the
Andrea.
lack
I
thereof.
want to talk about Andrea in particular. The one
Yeah.
old flame. I want to talk about her in particular. When it comes
Was
to
there
acting
even a
skills.
romantic
No,
conflict?
they were just...
They hinted that that's what was
Yeah, it was like, yeah, the first
then they
time
just
we
never
really
followed it.
sang together.
Whatever, we're going back to the writing again. Go back. I'm sorry.
No, back to the acting.
Okay, go on.
I just... Maybe it's just because I have seen, like, middle school plays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've just equated it a little bit. Like, I equate it to a church play.
Yeah.
That's how I...
It has as much as emotional depth as one would.
It's like,
I'd like to
hey,
know the
I
premise.
can't hear myself over his piano. I'm sorry, what was that?
The conflicts in this movie are unbelievably unfounded. They come out of nowhere, and also they go nowhere.
All right, we keep going back to the conflicts, which we've addressed multiple times.
All right,
we're
so
going to be talking about
let's
acting.
go
Let's
through
talk
each
about acting.
conflict.
Let's talk about acting just a bit more. I mean, you can get decent performances, and even surprisingly good ones out of non-actors.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's
If
plenty
you-
of movies that actually
Yeah.
exhibit that. Look at
Um,
Kids.
In Italian neorealism and Rick Linklater.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
this, because what you need to do, and Abbas Kurosami, I think his name is. I can't believe we're bringing all these filmmakers into this. But, you know,
You go off what you know.
they know how to create a nice, loose environment, but still very professional, that they can get that out of them.
Yeah.
And I did, by and large, did not see that here. Some of them did a decent job acquitting themselves, but overall, I felt that the performances just didn't hold up. And that's not a good thing.
Not even that, just also some of the actors, it was obvious that they just did not give a shit. It's like, and out of all the people that we found on IMDb, like, the majority of them all, like, this is like their only role.
Yeah.
They've only ever been selected for this, and that is it. Now, obviously, IMDb is a glorified Wikipedia, so we really can't say that it's entirely 100% accurate. But at the same time, if we're going off of that information, still, the majority of the people who were in this movie have not had a subsequent career after or before.
There was like that one guy who you said looked familiar, the Pastor Joe or
Yeah.
Savannah's father.
And I don't know, maybe he might, maybe it's just because he looks like a different actor. I don't know.
I've looked through his filmography. He's that guy who just does the rounds on like all this primetime shows on one episode each. Just
One
like
episode of all the soap
one
operas,
guy.
one of the...
No, not the soap operas. Like he was on one of like, I don't know, what was it, like Burn Notice, and then one on
Nah, that sounds
Law
about
and Order
right.
and stuff like that. He was that guy. Everyone always does that when you're trying to get in. You just make the rounds, one on each of those shows, and then
And the fact that you get on that show is pretty good, at least.
wow,
It's a living.
Depends
It's a
on-
living. It is a
depends on
living.
the role.
Okay. But, alright.
We'll just say this movie did not do anything to further any careers in any regard at all.
And I'm sorry, like, now, this is not a review bashing religion. I would be saying these same things about regardless who put out a film like this. This movie is Kirk Cameron would find this movie unbelievably unsubtle. And he's the epitome of the unsettled Christian fanatic person. But the thing is, like, oh God, it just rams it over your head. And also, it comes out of nowhere too. The whole God influence and whatnot. They'll be talking about something like their parents or something like that, and all of a sudden they'll say, "Well, I guess God will have a plan for me." I'm like, this is more of a cop-out than Ben-Hur.
Okay, first of all, actually, I found this to be mild. Extremely mild. I didn't feel that it was overbearing at all.
It wasn't overbearing, but it was unsubstantiated for there was no segue.
Okay, first of all,
it wasn't well put into the conversation.
First of all, okay, I'm not a fan of Ben-Hur at all.
I am.
But the thing is, here's the thing. It was not heavy-handed. Yes, it came out of nowhere. But unlike in Ben-Hur, where it's 4 hours worth of movie, and in the last 30 minutes they decide that Jesus is the solution to all things.
It's based off of a book.
Okay, even then that's ridiculously clumsy. That's a cop-out. That's a different conversation.
Well, what if it was the original story? What if it was the first story to actually
change it? When adapting a book to film, you change it. Oh my God! And we're
not going to get into Ben-Hur.
All right. But okay, that's conversation.
We'll save that for Epics Month.
Cinematography or editing? Do we have anything to say about that?
The cinematography.
It was set up like
standard.
It wasn't anything amazing. I'd say the best, not exactly shots, but the best little scene was that ending part with the bubble thing.
Yeah.
They had the airplane, and then that was just like building up tension, until finally she just had to go outside. I thought that was decent. It wasn't amazing, but it was better than the rest of the movie.
The editing, however, is unbelievably choppy.
Oh, God.
The editing's so poor. So poor.
That sweater line that I mentioned, I almost lost it because every single line that they said in that scene, there was a good half a second after the line until they cut to the next person.
And not even just that, several times throughout the movie, especially in the sweater scene in particular, that they would take the dubbing of one of the lines and repeat it right after the fact.
Yes, while making different lip moves.
Yeah, while making different...
You feel like you're watching an Italian spaghetti western. It's
not even that. Not even that. It's like you feel like you're watching an Italian... You feel like you're watching a Turkish ripoff of an Italian spaghetti western.
The people who
Turkish Italian Sunday School Musical.
Anyway.
God, that would be unbelievably bad. That would be terrifyingly bad.
No, mosque school musical, you know.
Oh God. Oh God.
Oh God.
It's just an hour and a half of a blank screen. But alright.
Is there anything
the real
Anna feels like taking off her veil.
No,
and she
I'm
needs
sorry.
to be talked out of it.
I'm sorry. The real problem I really have with this movie, because I spotted this 20 minutes before the end of the movie. I'm like, they better not fucking do this. No. They better not do this. If they're going to do this, going to put my foot through the screen. At the end of the movie, when they're going to be in the competition and stuff like that, one of the other people of the other opposing, dance choir, whatever the fuck they are, troupe, goes over to the judges and says that they are two separate choirs competing as one.
Which does not line up with what they previously established in the plot at all. And would have been a legitimate conflict, but whatever. We're done.
Even though also in the earlier part of the movie, they said that them joining together as two choirs entering as one team does not break any of the rules.
But apparently it does.
But apparently it does now. And when the judge comes in and says it's unfair to the people, you're not going to be able to go in. So this is what they get done. This is what they have happen. They go up to the judges. They have the girl with the pigtails and the glasses take off her glasses and remove her and let down her hair because
she's wild and free.
No.
But the thing is, though, they quote Bible verses.
Zechariah something.
To try to persuade him, but you know what? What we said during this, hey, even the devil can know his scripture better than you guys. but then he gets convinced to let them in, but not let them into the competition, to let them perform. They're all happy about this, even though the $10,000 to save their church is what they got into the competition together in the first place.
I don't think we ever mentioned that, did we?
Yeah. Anyway. It doesn't matter.
And then,
you know how this film ends.
Yeah.
You know how this film ends.
Wait,
they dance.
Wait.
The people who have been winning the last 3 years wins. And then they say we're going to give it to them because they deserve it. Thus making every last bit of the movie pointless!
All the bad boys want some more, it's tricky. And girls enjoy, they feel so lucky. Loving a switch, running out the